has this already been a successful season for the Bears, no matter what, considering after that 5-game slide, they found themselves back in the postseason?
It's a successful season that's stuck in purgatory, right? They haven't reached the next level yet because they are stuck at this space due to the fact that there were such high hopes at the beginning of the year, starting off 5-1. But I think Key and I agreed that, hey, look, sometimes the season goes this way based upon your defense, but they were hitting death row to a degree. When they played the Rams, they played a lot of other tough teams back to back. Matt Nagy had made the change from a quarterback position to Nick Foles, and a lot of things just kind of changed for this team. They lose 6 straight, then all of a sudden they respond down the stretch, winning their last 3 or 4 games, going 3-1, and finding a way to get into the playoffs. Look, even though this team has a lot of room for improvement, I said yesterday, I think Ryan Pace, the team president, needs to go. I think Matt Nagy will keep his job. There are changes they need to make. Is Mitchell Trubisky going to be the quarterback of the future? I don't know. That depends on how he plays in this playoff game. But right now, if you're a Bears fan, you have to sit back and say, okay, regardless of all this happening, regardless of the season being up and down and being so volatile, we did make the playoffs. I mean, we are here. And for a team that had a lot of these question marks, getting to the playoffs is a win within the win. It may not be where you want to go, but right now you're in a pretty decent position.
I think a lot of that is true to what you're saying right there, Jay. But if it wasn't this pandemic and we didn't have a 7th seed, they wouldn't be in the playoffs. So they kind of backdoored in the situation.
You don't know that, Key. You can't say that for a fact.
What do you mean I don't know that? The numbers speak for themselves. What are you talking about?
What do you mean numbers speak for themselves? Teach me.
Their record wouldn't allow them to be in this position to get into the playoffs. So calm down there, okay?
Okay, I got you. I hear you.
But what I would say, though, Jay, is when you look at it, there has been in this league, in other leagues, coaches that have been fired, making the playoffs and losing in the playoffs and terminated after. There's been players that have gone to Super Bowls and have lost in Super Bowls and not retained at the quarterback position. So anything can happen in Chicago. I'm not 100% sure that they're going to move on from Matt Nagy or Ryan Pace at all. When you look at it, they have an opportunity to go and do something special if they really believe that 3-1 down the stretch is true and not just a bunch of teams that were not very good at the moment in which they played them, because they're going to go up against a New Orleans Saints team that should have 2 of their top offensive weapons back come playoff time. And so if that's the case, with Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara potentially being in the fold for the Saints, that's going to be a tall task. There's no question about it. Now, as far as Mitch Trubisky goes, it's a shame that he got benched at 3-0 because all that did was set an even harder narrative that he's not the future quarterback of the Chicago Bears. Then he comes back in after a 6-game losing streak and take him, and he wins 3 out of 4 games. So now there's this feeling, Zubin, of what type of quarterback is he? Yes, we've seen him kind of be a roller coaster up and down. His rookie year was, okay, rookie year. Then you see him his second year, you go, third year, and then he gets benched, and he comes back. He engineers drives against Detroit earlier in the year when they're down. So he was giving you some mix where early on they were trying one system with him. Now, the second half of the season on this 3-1 streak, they're doing more things that he can do, more RPOs, more play action, more putting him on the perimeter, allowing him to run the football, things that he was able to do at North Carolina. So I'm not ready to just say they're done with him, move on. They may extend him a small, depending on what happens in the playoffs, they may extend him a small little offer to stick around because it may be the best offer that he can get out there in the open marketplace because they didn't exercise his 5th-year option, so they don't have that on the table anymore.
One thing I would say that I totally concur with Jay on is when you think back to the 6-game losing streak, I mean, how much negativity there was in Chicago after they had lost 6 in a row. When they had dropped that 6th straight game, they fell to 5-7. They were tied for last place with the Detroit Lions. It had been their worst losing skid in 18 years. The Lions only wish they were that vicious. They have more of a cat call than that. So everything that they've been able to do to go from being tied in the basement with the worst team traditionally in the division to rising up and making the playoffs. And how about this, fellas? I don't want to get Bears fans too nervous, but they're playing at 4:40 Eastern time on Sunday. The last time the Bears played in the playoffs at 4:40 Eastern time on a Sunday was a couple years ago. That was the double doink game. That was the game where they could have had the opportunity. The field goal, Cody Parkey doesn't go through. Eagles escape. And oh, by the way, who do the Eagles go to face the next week? The Saints. So the Bears got the Saints this week in that same late afternoon Sunday time slot that had been so, I think, a little bit of a jinx for them.
How long did it take you to find that?
Okay, it was only 2 years ago.
No, I'm just saying. You found the time. You found everything. Put it together.
He has it all in here, Key. It's all stored away in the database.
So last thing for both fellas, obviously you mentioned Kamara on the coronavirus protocols. We expect to see him. Michael Thomas has been in and out of the lineup all season, as we know. And we're still waiting for Drew Brees to see if he's at 100% at health. A lot of people are talking 41 and done. Is this going to be the last year for Drew Brees? So you're right. They have that triumvirate that the Bears certainly don't have at those three positions, although, of course, Allen Robinson is a fantastic wide receiver. But you look at all of it and say, not 100% Michael Thomas, maybe not 100% Kamara, and maybe not 100% 41-year-old quarterback. I'm not saying that's going to make a difference, but if you're the Bears, that's not a bad building block to think about.
Wait, Zubin. Key, what is the status of Michael Thomas?
I have no idea, Jay.
When are you going to give our show something about your family member that is one of the best players in the NFL? When are you going to give us something?
I do not work for the New Orleans Saints. I work for ESPN and Disney.
Yes, it's your job to report on what's going on.
If you ask me information about ESPN or Disney and what we do in sports, I may be able to help you. When you start asking me questions about one's health, I'm just like the rest of you guys. I don't know. I have to wait for the report to come out.
You're the worst. Go ahead with your point. I'm done with you.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.